car dealerships. Everybody loves a car dealership. And while our friends at Tesla have certainly taken their share of hits with the Tesla Q folks always looking to see where Tesla's storing excess inventory, which doesn't exist, turns out it's actually a big problem. Larry Veliquette at Automotive News wrote a story last week about it. And we're talking about 4.2 million cars right now are on dealer lots. This is a large number. We're talking about a number that goes back over a year before, where we've had inventory levels this high, and almost going back to 2007 when the recession hit, and obviously lots of cars were sitting on dealer lots. Two things with this now, and forgive me if we've gone over this before. If you know this, you're smarter than the average bear, but most car companies don't sell cars to you. Okay, you go in and buy a car, you're buying a car from a dealer. That dealer has already bought the car from the car company. So Toyota, Ford, Chevy, all of those companies except for Tesla sell cars to their dealers who then resell them to you. Wow. Mind blown, right?
Mm-hmm.
What that means, though, is that they have to pay for these cars. And in a lot of instances, like a lot of retailers that carry extensive inventory, extensive high dollar inventory, there are loan companies that do nothing but do what they call flooring loans.
Dealer floor plan.
Exactly. Dealer floor plan. So they present an inventory. The company says, okay, you have this much, we give you this loan. Well, those loans have gone up in many cases from what they were used to, the old loans at like 1.5% to as much as 5%, which means their carrying costs for that inventory every month has tripled. The interest on it, I should say, has tripled. This is a frightening thing. In general, car dealers don't make a significant amount of their money from selling new cars. So if the cost of those goes up, there's not a lot of room there for wiggling around. This is, you might want to say that lots of people have seen this. We've seen layoffs. We've seen cutbacks in the car industry last year and kind of went, why? We're looking at like 6 or 8 years of just record growth. And looks like we might have peaked. So I don't honestly, in a sense, like, go out and get a car. No, I don't. I mean, wait a couple of months until they're really suffering and then go out and get a car. I want to show you just a couple of pictures from this Automotive News article. Here's a dealer that is keeping cars at a local racetrack. Yeah. These are FCA, the Fiat Chrysler group. Those are Jeeps. Those are Ram trucks. Those are whatever you want to.
Dodge Darts.
Oh, God, I hope not, right? For their sake. And then here's another one.
This picture is amazing. That's just.
Oh, that one won in large. Okay. Yeah. So there you go. That was taken by the author. Looks like from a drone, or there's a tower somewhere nearby. But again, this is not good. Obviously, you don't want cars that have been sitting around in some storage lot for a while. And dealers don't want to pay for inventory that's just sitting there. They want that inventory to cycle through their little sales lots as quickly as possible. So this could be an interesting development. 2019 is already turning into a very interesting year.
There are a lot of implications that are just touched upon in this article. And one of them was, and I was trying to find, and you had mentioned it, harking back to the last time there was this much car inventory. And it was right before the huge depression when we saw the huge, the financial resettling, if we will. And what happens is people are starting to get scared. They are starting to push off or just completely not make large purchases. And one of the first things to get scratched off the I'm going to buy this year is a $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 vehicle. So they're going to used lots, or they're paying $2,500 in repairs instead of $25,000 for a car. So it's part of, manufacturers are making the cars to keep the factories running, and then they're pushing them on the dealerships. But then you also look at the downstream where they try to keep, was it 2 to 3 months of inventory backlog, and now we're going up to 8, and in some cases 10. And you have to start asking, what is it about the American consumer that they are not purchasing cars at the rate that they were just a year ago? That's the underlying current of this entire article.
I think part of it is for the last 5 years, they've had record sales, and everybody who was kind of looking for a new car has bought one. And there's, the people looking for new cars is much smaller than it was a few years ago, and the uncertainty with the economy. So add that together, and no one's buying new cars.
Yeah, and also there's been a couple of natural disasters a few years back that ruined a number of cars in, say, a flood-prone area or such, and those cars have been purchased ahead of time. But again, in a batch that caused an entire region to kind of reshuffle their inventories. So that's happened as well.
Yeah, when I was in car sales, all the dealerships I was at tried to keep just over a 30-day supply, which would mean that that the whole inventory is turned over in just over a month. And like you said, it's sitting on 8 months and paying interest on that. It's incredible. One other thing that also has affected this market right now is we're now seeing the final effects of the Cash for Clunkers program. A whole bunch of people who didn't normally buy new cars bought new cars to qualify for that program. And just like the natural disasters, it affected the cycles.
Right.
And cars are so darn expensive. People are keeping their old cars longer.
Yes, I was thinking about the Suburban, the 3-row cloth Suburban. Was it $67,000 it starts at now? For crank windows, and it's not really that bad, but it has no option.
11 MPG.
Right, but it didn't used to cost that much for a box that had nothing in it.
Yeah. And another thing this points out is you think that, and I know that like Russell said, a lot of our viewers are usually smarter than the average person, but storing a car, like storing anything, like warehousing, it's easy to think that it's a warehouse and you have stuff on shelves and that's it. But you have to, of course, understand that they're actually paying to warehouse. They're paying to store these cars, and every month that a car sits on the lot, they're paying money just to have that car sit on the lot. And when you're looking at tens of thousands of cars over 8 months, that's a butt ton of money.
And depending on the time of the year, if it's a 2019 model and the 2020 model comes out mid-2019, then they've got to discount it drastically in order to sell it, because no one's going to buy last year's model for the same price as the new model. So there's that risk as well to the dealer.
Yeah. And then there's just the degradation in the car. So if you get a car that's this year, how long has it been in a field? Yeah. It's going to have problems from the rod, the rubber is sitting there, like the tires and the wipers and the seals.
And all the critters that move into it at the racetrack. The wires.
Those are bonuses, Paul. Just a bonus. You get a pet with your car.
The rat turds under your hood.
Exactly. A free pet with every purchase. Yeah.